Let me begin with a simple truth that most people overlook. Your life doesn't change by chance. It changes by choice. And one of the greatest choices you'll ever make is to change the way you speak. Because here's the deal. Words are not just sounds. Words are seeds. Every sentence you speak is a blueprint you're laying down for your future. And the problem is, too many people are planting weeds with their words, and then wondering why their life looks like a mess. They say things like, "I'm just not lucky. I'm not good with people. I'll never be rich." And guess what? They're right. Because the tongue is steering the ship, and it's headed straight for the rocks. Now you might be thinking, "Jim, it's just words." But friend, words become beliefs. Beliefs shape decisions, and decisions create destiny. So no, it's never just words. The language you use every day to describe your problems, your goals, your future, that language is either building your life or slowly dismantling it. And today I want to help you change that. Because when you change your words, you begin to reshape your thinking. And when you reshape your thinking, you unlock new doors, better habits, stronger relationships, and a world you never thought possible. So don't miss this. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you how to speak with clarity, with purpose, and with power. You'll learn the vocabulary of success, the phrases of discipline, and the words that winners use every single day. So sit tight, listen closely, because this isn't just another motivational message. It's a verbal blueprint for a better life. And it all starts with the next word you choose to speak. Speak life. Words can build or break. Let's talk today about one of the most powerful tools you have at your disposal. It's not money. It's not connections. It's not even talent. It's your words. Yes, your words. The way you speak, the way you describe your life, the way you talk to others, and even more importantly, the way you talk to yourself. Now I want you to write this one down. Words can build or words can break. They can construct a future, or they can destroy a dream. They can inspire courage, or they can spark doubt. They can mend a heart, or shatter one in a single sentence. You see, words are not cheap. They're not harmless. They are loaded. They carry life, or they carry death. That's what the ancient texts say. Life and death are in the power of the tongue. And I happen to believe that's still true today. Now maybe no one told you this, but you are always speaking something into existence. Every day. You're either building your future brick by brick with encouraging, uplifting, determined language, or you're tearing your foundation apart with complaint, sarcasm, and self-doubt. Let me give you an example. One man says, "Nothing ever works out for me." Well, he's right. Why? Because he speaks failure fluently. Another man says, "I'll find a way. I don't know how yet, but I will." And guess what? He usually does. Because he's trained his mouth to support his mission. Words create motion. They push you toward action or keep you stuck in excuses. So if you want a better life, start by speaking better sentences. Now I'm not talking about fake positivity. I'm not asking you to lie to yourself. I'm asking you to tell the truth in advance. I'm asking you to say things like, "I'm learning every day. I haven't figured it all out yet, but I'm growing. I make mistakes, but I don't quit." Those aren't lies. Those are declarations of progress. Now here's another thing to remember. Your words affect others too. Think about this. One word of encouragement to the right person at the right time can change the entire trajectory of their life. I know. I've seen it. You might say something kind in passing, and they'll remember it for years, but the same goes for criticism. Say the wrong thing in the wrong moment, and it might take someone months to recover. So here's what I'd suggest. Be known as the person who speaks life. Not the one who points out every problem. Not the one who always finds something to complain about. Be the one who builds with your words. Encourage people. Tell them what they're doing right. Speak vision. Speak belief. Speak discipline. Now let me challenge you with this. For the next 24 hours, I want you to monitor your language like a hawk. Catch yourself. Are you speaking from fear or from faith? Are your words solution-oriented or problem-centered? Better yet, make a decision right now that you will no longer allow your mouth to sabotage your future. You say, "Jim, I just speak what I feel." Well, that's the problem. Don't just speak your feelings. Speak your intentions. Speak your vision. Speak your values. Speak like the person you're becoming, not the one you've been stuck being. It's not about ignoring reality. It's about choosing what part of reality you want to feed. Because whatever you speak, you strengthen. Your mind listens to your mouth. So if you want a sharper mind, use sharper words. If you want a disciplined life, start with disciplined speech. If you want to be respected, speak with respect. And if you want to inspire others, let your words carry weight. That's what it means to speak life. It's not just talk. It's a habit. It's a lifestyle. It's a commitment to build more than you break. So today and every day moving forward, choose words that lift, words that build, words that push you forward, and call others higher. Because at the end of the day, your mouth is your megaphone to the world, and the world will echo back what you shout into it. So speak life, my friend, because your words will either be the foundation of your greatness or the wrecking ball of your potential. And the beautiful thing is, you get to choose. Vocabulary of victory. Talk like a winner. If you want to win in life, really win, you've got to do more than just work hard. You've got to talk different. You've got to upgrade your vocabulary. Not just the words you say to others, but the ones you say to yourself. Because let me tell you, winners don't talk like victims. Winners don't talk like quitters. And they sure don't talk like the world owes them something. Winners speak the language of possibility. They speak the language of resilience. They speak in terms of responsibility, of growth, of ownership. Here's something I learned early on. You can't speak defeat all week and expect victory on the weekend. It doesn't work like that. Your words are rehearsals. What you say in private, you start to believe in public. And before long, you live what you speak. So here's the challenge. Talk like the person you want to become. You want to be confident. Stop saying, I'm just not good at that. You want to be successful. Stop saying, that's not for people like me. You want to lead, then stop saying, I don't have what it takes. Let's clean up that vocabulary. Let's talk like a winner. Let me give you some examples. Loser's phrase, I have to go to work. Winner's phrase, I get to go to work. Loser says, it's just not fair. Winner says, what can I learn from this? Loser says, it's too hard. Winner says, it's hard but I'm capable. You see the difference? It's subtle, but it's powerful. Because every sentence is either training you to shrink or pushing you to stretch. And here's something else. Winners talk about solutions. Losers talk about problems. It's easy to point out what's wrong. Anyone can do that. But it takes leadership to speak about what can be fixed, what can be improved, what can be built. So if you walk into a room and the first thing you say is, this place is a mess, no one knows what they're doing, that's not leadership. That's criticism. But if you walk in and say, there's real potential here, let's bring some order to it. Now that's the vocabulary of victory. Let's keep going. Winners also talk with clarity. They don't mumble through life with vague language. They say what they mean. They speak goals, not guesses. Don't say, I hope I make more money this year. Say, I will earn 25% more, and here's my plan. Don't say, maybe I'll try to get healthier. Say, I'm committed to working out 4 times a week. No excuses. Clear words create clear lives. Vague words create vague results. And listen, watch your tone. Because your tone tells the truth about what you believe. Say, I guess I'll try in a weak tone. And you've already lost. Say, I'll do it with firmness and purpose, and suddenly you've got momentum. Your tone trains your subconscious. Speak with confidence, and your body starts to believe you. Speak with hesitation, and your energy leaks out before you've even started. Now let's not forget, the vocabulary of victory includes silence. 2. Winners know when to speak, and they know when to zip it. You don't have to answer every critic. You don't have to defend every decision. Sometimes silence is the strongest word in the room. You don't win arguments. You win with results. So if your words aren't building, guiding, or reinforcing, save your energy. And let me give you this final thought. Watch who you're listening to, because the words around you become the words inside you. You hang around people who whine, criticize, and complain all day. Don't be surprised if those words start coming out of your mouth too. So here's what I'd say. Surround yourself with people who talk like winners. People who challenge you to think bigger, act bolder, and speak clearer. And if you can't find them yet, become that person yourself. Because winners don't just win in their actions. They win in their language. They speak discipline. They speak vision. They speak the vocabulary of growth, goals, grit, and gratitude. So today, upgrade your speech. Trade in the weak words. Eliminate the language of limitation. Start speaking like the person who's already walking in your dream. Because remember, before you live it, you speak it. And if you change your words, you just might change your world. Don't curse your future with casual negativity. Let's talk about something subtle, but powerful, something that most people overlook. Yet it's silently stealing their success. It's called casual negativity. Now you might say, Jim, what do you mean by that? Well, let me explain it like this. It's the little comments, the throwaway phrases, the jokes, the complaints, the sarcasm that sounds harmless, but is actually a wrecking ball to your potential. See, we often think danger only comes in big packages. We look for disasters, breakdowns, and betrayals. But the real danger, it usually creeps in through our daily language. The words we speak without thinking. The ones that feel small, but leave a big impact. You say things like, well, I guess I'll never get ahead. Or just my luck. Things always go wrong for me. Or maybe, knowing me, I'll probably mess it up. Sounds harmless, right? But let me ask you, how many times do you say that in a week? 10 times? 20? Now multiply that by 52 weeks. That's over 1,000 little curses you've spoken over your own life. 1,000 bricks in a wall you're building, that's standing between you and your future. You see, negative words don't just describe your life. They direct it. Every sentence is a suggestion to your subconscious. And your subconscious doesn't know the difference between sarcasm and sincerity. It just takes orders. So when you say, I'm always tired, guess what? Your mind says, all right, let's make sure we stay tired. When you say, I'm just not lucky, your brain says, got it. Let's filter out opportunity. Let me give it to you straight. If you want a better life, you've got to stop speaking curses disguised as jokes. You've got to stop rehearsing defeat just to get a laugh. You've got to stop putting yourself down and calling it being real. Friend, there's a difference between being real and being reckless. Being real says, I've got some challenges, but I'm working on them. Being reckless says, I'm a mess. Always have been. See the difference. One tells the truth. The other tells a trap. Let me say this. Your words are magnets. You speak doubt. You attract hesitation. You speak fear. You attract confusion. But when you speak strength, you start to stand taller. You speak hope, and doors begin to open. Now don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about ignoring your struggles. I'm talking about choosing how you talk about them. You can say, this is hard, and I'm still standing. You can say, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm not giving up. That's not denial. That's direction. It's okay to admit the problem. Just don't let your mouth become the microphone for your misery. Because if you keep talking defeat, you'll start expecting it. And if you keep expecting it, you'll unconsciously create it. So what do? You retrain your mouth. You catch those casual comments. You replace them. Instead of saying, I can't afford that, say, how can I earn more to make that possible? Instead of saying, that's just my luck, say, that's feedback. I'll do better next time. Instead of saying, I'm terrible at this, say, I'm learning, I'm getting better every day. Let your words reflect your potential, not just your problems. And listen, if you want to go far, you've got to speak like someone going far. Not like someone stuck. Not like someone bitter. Not like someone waiting for the world to change before they do. Because here's the truth. The future listens. It's listening to your tone, your attitude, your declarations. And if you want to step into a future that's brighter, you can't curse it on the way there. So I challenge you. Audit your speech this week. Catch the casual negativity and crush it. Replace it with words that build, strengthen, and guide. You're not weak. You're not behind. You're not cursed. You're just one decision away from a new vocabulary and a new reality. Because when you change how you talk, you begin to change how you think. And when you change how you think, you begin to live differently. So let's make the decision, right here, right now, to stop speaking against ourselves and start speaking ourselves forward. Because your future is too valuable to be cursed by careless conversation. Your words are a mirror. They reflect your beliefs. Let me tell you something. Most people never realize you don't speak how you are. You speak what you believe. And if you want to understand someone's belief system, you don't need a psychology degree. Just listen to their words. Because words are a mirror. And that mirror doesn't lie. You want to know if someone believes they're worthy of success. Just listen. Do they say things like, I'll find a way, or things never work out for me? You want to know if someone believes in growth. Watch how they talk about failure. Do they say that taught me something? Or do they say that's just proof I'm not cut out for this? The words we speak don't just come from nowhere. They come from deep beliefs. Some that were planted years ago. Beliefs we inherited, adopted, absorbed, sometimes without even knowing it. Let me put it this way. If you've got a broken lens inside, your language will come out blurry. Now the good news is this. Language isn't just a mirror. It's a tool. And if you want to change what you believe, you can start by changing how you speak. See, most people try to think their way into belief. But let me offer you something better. Speak your way into belief. You don't need to feel confident to speak confident words. You need to speak confident words. So your confidence has something to grow on. That's why I say, talk like the person you want to become, not like the person you've been stuck being. Let's take a closer look. When you say, I always mess things up, that's not just self-talk. That's a belief, spoken aloud. It means you believe failure is part of your identity. But if you say, I'm learning from my mistakes, now that's a different belief. One says, I'm doomed. The other says, I'm developing. Your words reveal what you expect, and life tends to rise or fall to meet that expectation. Here's something you've probably heard me say before. Don't be casual with language, because language shapes belief, and belief shapes behavior, and behavior shapes destiny. That's the chain reaction. It all starts with what's coming out of your mouth. So let's flip the mirror. What are you saying about money? About your health? About your relationships? About your ability to lead? Are your words full of fear, scarcity, blame, or are they rooted in responsibility, faith, and discipline? Let me give you a few examples of belief-filled speech. Instead of saying, I'm just not good with money, say, I'm learning how to manage my finances better. Instead of saying, I can't talk in front of people, say, I'm developing the confidence to speak with clarity and impact. Instead of saying, I don't know how to start, say, I'm committed to figuring this out, step by step. See the difference. Same reality, different belief. And it shows in the language. Now here's the kicker. Once you change your words, your beliefs begin to shift. And once your beliefs shift, you stop shrinking from life, and you start standing up to it. I want to challenge you today. Don't just listen to your words. Study them, because they're telling you a story. And if the story is full of limitation, fear, regret, it's time to edit the script. You are the narrator of your life, but you're also the editor. You get to rewrite the lines. You can go from I'll never be enough to I am growing into someone I'm proud of. From everything is against me to I've been through worse, and I'm still here. From I'm stuck to this is temporary. I'm building momentum. Every sentence is a steering wheel. Turn it just a few degrees, and you might find yourself on a completely different road. So here's your assignment. This week, pay attention to your language. Every complaint, every excuse, every self-judgment. Then ask yourself, what belief does this reflect? And is that belief serving me or sabotaging me? If it's not helping, replace it. Rewire the words. Reprogram the belief. Speak a little higher. Speak a little clearer. Because when your words rise, your life rises with them. And remember, you don't have to wait until you feel it. Speak it first. Let your language lead the way. Because eventually, your beliefs will follow your voice. So speak wisely. Speak intentionally. Speak like someone who believes that the future is bright, and that they were born to make the most of it. Because your words are more than talk. They are truth in motion. They are the mirror, and they're showing you who you really believe you are. If you don't like what you see, change the reflection. Start with your words. Conversations are investments. Choose them wisely. Let me ask you something. When was the last time you really thought about the value of a conversation? Most people don't. They think of conversations as fillers. Background noise, something you do at lunch, during a break, or on the way to the car. But I want you to see something deeper. Every conversation you have is an investment. It's either adding to your life, or it's subtracting from it. It's making a deposit, or it's draining your account. That's why I say, choose them wisely. Now you've heard it said, you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Well, let me upgrade that. You are the average of the 5 conversations you engage in the most. What are you talking about all day long? Complaints, excuses, politics, gossip, or are you talking about solutions, strategies, growth, discipline? Because here's what I know. Your words shape your world, but your conversations shape your environment, and your environment eventually shapes you. You sit at the table with people who are dreaming, planning, building. Before long, you start thinking bigger. You sit with people who are blaming, whining, distracting. Soon enough, your mind starts shrinking. It's not just about who you're with, it's what you're saying together. Let me give you some examples. You walk into a room and someone says, this place is a mess. It's always like this. They've already set the tone. Low, negative, defeated. That's not a conversation. That's a contamination. But another room, someone says, let's make it better. Let's fix this. We've got potential here. That's an investment. That's language that compounds into progress. You see, your conversations either pull people forward or hold them back. And often the ones you're having are doing both, to others and to yourself. Now here's the truth. Most people avoid. Sometimes you've got to walk away from cheap conversations. If the talk is always small, the minds will stay small. If the topic never changes, neither will your trajectory. So here's what I recommend. Audit your conversations. Who are you talking to the most? What are you talking about? And more importantly, how do you feel afterward? Do you leave inspired, energized, focused, or do you walk away drained, cynical, distracted? Because just like money, time and talk are currencies, and you only get so much to spend. Spend it on conversations that return value. Now let me flip the coin. It's not just about listening to better conversations. It's about becoming someone worth listening to. Ask yourself, are my words valuable? Do they build? Do they encourage? Do they plant ideas? Do they stir action? Or are they idle, critical, repetitive? Because remember, you're not just a receiver of conversation. You're an investor in it. You want better people in your life. Start being a better conversation. Speak with clarity, with purpose. Make others feel seen, challenged, uplifted. You'd be surprised. One meaningful conversation can change a person's path. One well-timed phrase can open a door. One strong idea, spoken with conviction, can spark a movement. And friend, it works both ways. That's why you have to protect the gate. Guard your ears like you guard your goals. Guard your mouth like you guard your money. Because careless conversations will cost you. They'll cost you energy. They'll cost you momentum. They'll cost you years if you let them. But intentional conversations, those are the ones that pay dividends. They leave you wiser, stronger, clearer, better. So here's the call to action. Be deliberate with who you talk to and what you talk about. Stop wasting words on what you can't change and start using them to influence what you can. Look for people who challenge you. Converse with people who believe in personal growth. And when you speak, make it count. Because every conversation is a choice, a deposit or a withdrawal, a brick in the wall or a bridge to a new opportunity. And when you start treating your conversations like investments, you'll stop wasting them and you'll start growing one word at a time. The language of leadership. Speak so people want to follow. Leadership isn't about titles. It's not about seniority. It's not about loud voices or corner offices. Leadership is about language. And not just any language. It's about the kind of language people want to follow. Now I want you to think about something. Have you ever been around someone who could say just a few words and suddenly the room changed? The mood lifted. The direction became clear. Energy started to rise. That's not luck. That's not charisma. That's called leadership through language. Because great leaders don't just act, they speak. And when they speak, people move. Let me tell you why. People don't follow noise. They follow clarity. They don't follow panic. They follow poise. They don't follow force. They follow purpose. So let's break it down. What kind of language invites leadership? And what kind pushes people away? Well, first, leaders speak vision. They don't just describe what is, they declare what could be. They say things like, this is where we're going. This is why it matters. This is how we'll get there together. Vision creates momentum. People want to be part of something bigger, something meaningful. If you can give them that, they'll walk through walls with you. Second, leaders speak responsibility. They don't blame. They don't deflect. They say, this one's on me. I missed the mark, but I've learned. I'll fix it. That's magnetic. You show me someone who owns their words, their choices, their outcomes. I'll show you someone people trust. And trust is the currency of leadership. Third, leaders speak belief. They don't just manage performance. They call out potential. They say, I see something in you. You're capable of more. You've got what it takes. You give someone belief when they're running low, and you might just change the trajectory of their life. And listen, leadership is not about volume. It's about value. You don't have to say a lot to lead a lot. Sometimes it's one sentence, spoken at the right time, in the right tone, to the right person. That changes everything. Now on the flip side, leaders don't speak in fear. They don't lead with threats. They don't say, if you don't do this, you're out. They say, here's what's expected. Here's what's possible. Let's rise to it. People don't follow fear forever. They'll tolerate it, but they won't be loyal to it. They follow courage. They follow vision. They follow certainty in the face of chaos. Here's a secret. Even when you don't feel confident, you can still speak with certainty. You can say, I don't know the full answer yet, but I know we'll find it. That's confidence in process. And that's leadership. Let's talk tone. Your tone matters. Leaders speak with calm, with focus, with steadiness. Even in a storm, the leader's voice is the anchor. You don't have to shout to lead. You speak truth. You speak direction. And you speak it with strength, not aggression. Now here's something important. Leadership is not just what you say. It's also what you don't say. Don't gossip. Don't undercut. Don't speak in sarcasm when clarity is needed. Every time you speak, you're building trust or breaking it, because leadership is about influence, and influence is built word by word, moment by moment. So what kind of leader are you becoming? Are your words sharpening your team or softening the standard? Are you speaking life into your family or just barking orders? Are you casting vision at work or just giving instructions? Real leaders don't just manage people, they lift them, and they do it with language. So here's the challenge. Speak like someone others want to follow. Speak with purpose. Speak with belief. Speak with ownership. Speak in a way that makes people better just by listening. And here's the result. If you speak like a leader, you'll live like a leader. And if you live like a leader, others will follow. Not because they have to, but because they want to. That's the language of leadership, and it begins with the next word you choose. Talk to yourself, but watch what you say. Let's have a little heart-to-heart today, because there's a voice in your life that you hear more than any other. It's not your boss, not your spouse, not your mentor. It's you. You talk to yourself more than anyone else talks to you. And the question is, what are you saying? Most people don't even realize it, but all day long, they've got a running commentary going on in their head. A little voice saying, I'm not ready. I always mess this up. This probably won't work. And then they wonder why their confidence is low, why their progress is slow, why they don't feel capable or worthy. Let me tell you something simple, but powerful. Your internal dialogue is writing your external reality. If the voice in your head is weak, fearful, or negative, don't be surprised when your results look the same. Now you might say, Jim, I don't control the thoughts that come into my mind. That's true, but you absolutely control which thoughts you dwell on. And even more, you control what you say back. You see, it's not the thought that matters, it's the response. And that's where the power is. You've got to learn to talk back to the voice of doubt. When your mind says, you're not good enough, you say, I may not have arrived, but I'm improving every day. When it says you've failed too many times, you say, each failure taught me something, and I'm smarter now than I've ever been. When it whispers, this is too hard, you respond, hard is good, hard builds strength, and I was built for it. That's called intentional self-talk, and leaders use it every single day. Winners use it, builders use it, visionaries use it, because they know the words you speak to yourself shape the way you show up in the world. Let me give you a little exercise. Ask yourself, if someone else spoke to me the way I speak to myself, would I trust them? Would I feel encouraged? Would I want to spend time with them? If the answer is no, then it's time for a change. Because here's the truth. You can't bully yourself into greatness. You can't shame yourself into transformation. You can't insult your way to discipline. That's not how growth works. You need a voice on the inside that lifts, not limits, that corrects, but doesn't condemn, that tells the truth, but through the lens of progress, not punishment. Now, I'm not talking about fairy tale self-talk. I'm not saying lie to yourself. I'm not asking you to look in the mirror and chant, I'm a millionaire, while your bills are unpaid. I'm saying speak to yourself with purpose, with truth, with courage, with clarity. Say things like, I am not where I used to be. I have the discipline to keep showing up. I am building something worthwhile. I am learning what I didn't know yesterday. I may not see it yet, but I'm sowing seeds for the future. That's not fantasy. That's formation. And over time, your inner voice becomes your inner strength. Let me ask you, would you ever let someone follow you around all day, telling you, you're not smart, you're not ready, you always screw it up? Of course not. So why do you tolerate that voice in your own head? You've got to become the guardian of your mind. You've got to speak life, even when you feel tired. You've got to coach yourself, especially when nobody else is watching. Because the most important leadership you'll ever offer is the leadership you give yourself. You lead others by how you lead your thoughts, by how you speak to your fear, by how you speak to your future, by by how you speak to your potential. So talk to yourself. But watch what you say. Don't rehearse defeat. Don't narrate failure. Don't give fear the microphone. Instead, speak with faith. Speak with purpose. Speak as if your words are creating something, because they are. And over time, you'll begin to see something extraordinary. You'll stop needing constant external motivation, because you've become your own best motivator. You'll stop waiting for others to lift you, because your voice has become your foundation. So here's your challenge. This week, track your self-talk. Catch the doubt, replace it with determination. Catch the fear, replace it with focus. Catch the shame, replace it with strategy. Because the person who wins the conversation in their mind eventually wins in every other area of life. And remember, you're listening to you all day long. Make sure what you hear is worth following. Upgrade your language. Upgrade your network. Here's a principle that changed my life. The words you use will either expand your circle or limit it. Yes, the kind of language you speak will determine the kind of rooms you walk into, the kind of people you attract, and the kind of opportunities that show up in your life. Now, most people don't realize this. They think networking is about shaking hands, exchanging cards, showing up at events. And sure, that's part of it. But real networking, real influence, that starts with the words that come out of your mouth. Your language is your access card. And if you want access to better networks, you've got to upgrade how you speak. Let me ask you, have you ever been in a room where the energy felt different, where the conversation wasn't about complaining, but creating, not about surviving, but scaling, where words like strategy, vision, discipline, and value floated through the air? That's not an accident. That's a culture built on language. And if you want to be part of those rooms, you've got to match the language. You can't walk into high-level conversations with low-level vocabulary. You can't show up with small talk when the discussion is about legacy, impact, and execution. Here's what I mean. If your language is full of gossip, blame, and doubt, that's going to attract people who feed on gossip, blame, and doubt. But if your language is full of growth, clarity, and conviction, suddenly you become magnetic to people who are going somewhere. Because people of excellence, they recognize each other by the way they speak. Winners don't say, "I can't believe how unfair this is." They say, "What's my next move?" Builders don't say, "Why does this always happen to me?" They say, "What am I supposed to learn from this?" Professionals don't say, "I'm just winging it." They say, "I've prepared, I'm ready, let's deliver." Your words are like business cards. Every sentence says something about your mindset, your values, and your future. So if you want to rise, your language has to rise first. Now let me make this practical. Start listening to the words used by the kind of people you admire. Listen to the way leaders speak, how they frame challenges, how they describe success, how they ask questions, and then ask yourself, do I sound like someone they would want to talk to? Because here's the truth. You can't network your way into excellence unless you speak excellence. You can't talk barely getting by and expect to partner with people building empires. It's not about using fancy words or jargon. It's about using intentional words, elevated words, purposeful, powerful, and clear. So start practicing. Start eliminating filler talk. Cut the phrases like "just surviving," "I guess we'll see," "whatever happens." Replace them with clarity. "I'm building momentum. I'm focused on results. I'm preparing for my next level." And here's something to remember. Every conversation is an audition. You never know who's listening. You never know what doors your words might unlock, or what relationships your speech might repel. So be the kind of person who speaks value. Speak with preparation. Speak with growth in mind. Because the truth is this: your network will grow at the level of your language. You start sounding like a person of discipline. You'll attract people of discipline. You speak like a problem solver. You'll find yourself in rooms full of solutions. You speak with character, clarity, and courage. You'll be invited into spaces where those qualities matter. So here's your challenge. Audit your vocabulary. Ask yourself, would the next level of my life recognize the way I talk? Would the people I want to meet respect the way I speak? And if not, don't panic. Just upgrade. Because when your words rise, your world rises. And when you start speaking like someone worth following, the right people will start showing up. So remember this. Your next opportunity, your next mentor, your next client may not come because of your resume, but because of your language. Upgrade it, and watch everything else rise to match. Speak with gratitude. It's the most powerful word shift. Let me tell you something that very few people understand. Gratitude is not just a feeling. It's a language. And the moment you learn to speak it fluently, your world starts to change. You see, most people wait to feel grateful. They wait until the circumstances are perfect. They wait until the bank account is full, the body is healthy, the job is easy, and the weather is nice. But winners don't wait for gratitude to show up. They speak it on purpose. Because when you speak gratitude, you're not just noticing what's good, you're multiplying it. You're magnifying what's working. You're shifting your focus from what's missing to what's meaningful. And that shift, that's the powerful word shift we're talking about today. Now let me be clear. Gratitude doesn't mean you ignore your challenges. It doesn't mean you pretend everything's perfect. It means you choose to see the value even in the pressure. You choose to say, I'm thankful for the lesson, even though the test was hard. I'm grateful I get to grow, even if growth is uncomfortable. Gratitude is a filter. And once you start using it, you start noticing more to be thankful for. Let me give you an example. Some people wake up and say, I have to go to work today. But the language of gratitude says, I get to go to work today. I get to create value. I get to earn. I get to serve. Same day, different words. And because the words change, the energy changes. Gratitude makes the invisible visible. It takes the things you've started to take for granted and brings them back into focus. Here's another powerful shift. Instead of saying, I'm so busy, try saying, I'm thankful I have meaningful work to do. Instead of, my kids are driving me crazy, say, I'm thankful for the privilege of raising them. Now you might think, Jim, that's just semantics. And I'd say, exactly. Because semantics shape emotion, and emotion shapes behavior, and behavior shapes results. Gratitude is not just about politeness. It's about perspective. It's about power. It's about choosing to see and to say what's good, even when it's hard. And here's something else. Gratitude is magnetic. You start speaking with gratitude. You attract better relationships. Why? Because nobody wants to be around someone who complains all day. But everybody loves being around someone who appreciates the moment. Speak gratitude in your workplace and watch the culture shift. Speak gratitude in your marriage and watch the connection deepen. Speak gratitude in your inner circle and you'll find fewer arguments, more encouragement, more forward motion. Now don't wait until something big happens. Start with the small stuff. Start with thank you for showing up. I appreciate your effort. I'm grateful for this opportunity, even if it stretches me. Speak it out loud. Write it. Say it. Repeat it. Make it a part of your daily rhythm. Because here's the principle. What you speak, you strengthen. And if you speak gratitude, you strengthen your peace, your joy, your resilience, and your relationships. Let me give you a challenge. For the next 7 days, before you complain about anything, say 3 things you're grateful for. Say it out loud. Say it deliberately. Even if the day is tough, especially if the day is tough. And watch what happens. Watch your mood shift. Watch your stress reduce. Watch how problems look smaller when your perspective is bigger. Because the truth is, gratitude isn't weakness. It's wisdom. And if you can speak it during uncertainty, you'll carry strength into every situation. So don't just feel grateful. Speak grateful. Make it a habit. Make it a language. Because gratitude doesn't just change your mood. It changes your life. Be careful what you say about others. You're saying more about yourself. Let me give you one of the most overlooked truths in personal development. When you speak about others, you're always revealing something about yourself. Yes, your words about them are often reflections of you. It's easy to forget this. We live in a world where everyone has an opinion, where it's normal to criticize, mock, comment, and tear down, especially when the person isn't in the room. But here's what I want you to consider. Every time you speak about someone else, you're also painting a picture of your own character. Let me say it more clearly. How you speak about others is a direct reflection of your mindset, your maturity, and your values. Now you might say, Jim, I'm just being honest. And I'd say, sure, but ask yourself, is it honest or is it harsh? Is it necessary or is it noise? Is it helpful or just hurtful? Because here's the principle. Great people don't tear others down. They build others up. And when correction is needed, they do it with clarity, not cruelty, with strength, not sarcasm. You can spot a person's level of discipline, not just by how they work, but by how they talk, when the subject is someone else. Small minds gossip. Average minds judge. Great minds rise above it. Let's talk about why this matters. When you speak poorly of others, What you're really doing is revealing your own insecurities. You don't expose their flaws, you expose your focus. If you constantly point out what's wrong with everyone else, you're quietly admitting that you're avoiding what's wrong in your own life. But when you speak with respect, when you give credit, when you extend grace even to those who've made mistakes, that says more about your strength than theirs. Let me give you a better standard. Talk about people as if they were in the room. If you wouldn't say it to their face, don't say it at all. And if you would say it to their face, say it in a way that honors truth and builds growth. Now, I'm not saying you ignore bad behavior. Sometimes things need to be addressed, but leadership doesn't mean you shout the problem. It means you speak the solution. If someone's messing up, speak with the intention to lift them, not label them. Say you're capable of better, instead of you're always screwing this up. There's a difference between correction and condemnation. Leaders know the line. People of wisdom walk it well. Here's another angle. How you talk about people behind their back determines who trusts you face to face. If I hear you tearing others down when they're not around, I know you'll probably do the same to me. But if I hear you protecting someone's dignity, even in disagreement, I know your loyalty runs deeper than convenience. And that earns respect. Let me take it one step further. You attract what you speak. You speak bitterness, you attract bitterness. You speak envy, you attract scarcity. But speak honor, speak belief, speak value into others, and you'll begin to build a community of people who reflect those same qualities. You see, words are like seeds, and when you plant gossip, you grow distrust. When you plant blame, you harvest bitterness. But when you plant praise, when you plant encouragement, you grow loyalty, growth, and unity. So what kind of garden are your words growing? Here's a challenge. For the next 7 days, refuse to speak negatively about anyone behind their back. Refuse, instead choose to uplift. Even if it's just saying they're working through it, or I believe they'll figure it out. That doesn't make you naive. That makes you noble, because at the end of the day, your words are your reputation. And how you talk about others will eventually be how others talk about you. So speak with discipline. Speak with integrity. And when in doubt, ask if someone played back a recording of everything I've said about others this week. Would I be proud? If not, change it. Because the mark of maturity is not just how you treat people in public. It's how you talk about them in private. And remember, when you speak about others, you're always saying something about yourself. So make it something worth respecting. Silence is also a sentence. And sometimes the best one. You know, we spend a lot of time talking about the power of words. But sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is nothing. Silence. It's not emptiness. It's not weakness. It's not retreat. Sometimes silence is the strongest statement you can make. Now let me be clear. I love words. I believe in their power to shape lives, direct teams, inspire nations. But there are moments, key moments, when silence is wiser than speech. Silence is a form of wisdom. It shows maturity. It shows discipline. It says, I don't need to react. I don't need to win this argument. I choose peace over proving a point. You see, most people speak too quickly. They feel tension, and they fill it with noise. They hear disagreement, and they respond with volume. But leaders, real leaders, they know when to speak, and when to hold the weight of silence. Because here's a truth worth remembering. Silence is not absence. It's presence, at a higher frequency. Let me give you a few examples. Sometimes silence is the right response to criticism. Not every accusation deserves a reply. Not every insult needs a defense. You don't have to jump into every battle just because you were invited. In fact, often the person who can stay silent when others are flailing about, that's the person who has the real power. Sometimes silence is how you earn respect. There's a certain dignity and restraint, a quiet confidence. You don't have to prove you're strong when you already are. Other times, silence is how you truly listen. You want to build better relationships? Then stop waiting for your turn to speak. Actually listen. Let the silence between their words be filled with understanding, not interruption. Because when people feel heard, they feel valued. And when you speak after listening, your words carry more weight. Sometimes silence is protection. You ever get caught in a room full of gossip, drama, criticism? You don't have to join in. You don't have to laugh along. Silence is how you say, this isn't who I am. And over time, people will respect you for it. And let's not forget, sometimes silence is how you protect yourself. In conflict, in emotion, in stress, you might say something in the heat of the moment that you'll regret for years. But if you pause, If you breathe, if you stay silent just a few seconds longer, you give yourself room to respond, not just react. Silence creates space, and space is where wisdom grows. It's where self-control lives. It's where your next breakthrough decision is born. Now here's something you've probably never heard. Silence is a sentence, and sometimes it's the most eloquent one you'll ever deliver. When someone crosses a line, and you simply withdraw your energy, that's a sentence. When someone tries to bait you into drama, and you don't reply, that's a sentence. When others speak fear and chaos, and you maintain peace and calm, that silence speaks volumes. But don't get me wrong, silence doesn't mean you don't care. Silence doesn't mean you don't have thoughts. It means you've trained yourself to be bigger than the noise. It means you've learned that not every opinion needs to be shared, not every idea needs to be posted, and not every moment is your moment to talk. There's strength in restraint. And sometimes the most powerful sentence you'll ever deliver is the one you never say. So here's your challenge. Start practicing strategic silence. Let others speak first. Pause before answering. Refuse to be pulled into conversations that lower your standard. Let your silence carry conviction. Let it show your confidence. Let it say, I know who I am, so I don't have to prove it with noise. And when you do speak, let it be measured. Let it be meaningful. Let it be unforgettable. Because the person who masters when to speak and when to be silent has mastered one of the greatest disciplines of leadership. So remember, silence is not empty. It's full of wisdom. And sometimes, it's the strongest sentence in the room. Practice powerful phrases. Success leaves linguistic clues. Success leaves clues, and one of the most obvious, yet most overlooked, clues is this. Successful people speak differently. It's not just what they know. It's not just what they do. It's what they say. Over and over again. Because words become beliefs. Beliefs become behavior. And behavior becomes a lifestyle. You want to change your direction? Start with your daily phrases. The lines you repeat. The little mantras. The go-to sentences you say to yourself and to others. You see, just like a gym builds your muscles, powerful phrases build your mindset. Let me give you a few. Successful people say, let's figure it out. Not, I don't know what to do. Those 4 words, let's figure it out. They open doors. They create momentum. They keep the mind moving forward. Winners say, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why does this always happen to me? That one shift turns a setback into a seminar. Every obstacle becomes a teacher. And over time, that builds wisdom. Discipline-driven people say, I said I would. Simple, right? But in a world of excuses and half-finished plans, those 4 words carry serious weight. I said I would. That's how leaders live. That's how reputations are built. Now here's another. This is like me. You've got to learn to affirm the identity you're building. You finish a workout? Say that's like me. You wake up early? Say that's like me. You stay calm in a crisis? Say that's like me. Why? Because you're reinforcing behavior that aligns with your best self. Your words are programming your self-image. Speak like the person you're becoming, and you'll become that person. Here's one more powerful phrase. It's possible. It may not be easy, it may not be obvious, but say it with conviction. It's possible. That phrase alone has birthed inventions, businesses, books, breakthroughs, because when you believe it's possible, your brain starts finding the way. Let's not forget this one. I take full responsibility. Now that's a heavy one. Most people avoid it. They'd rather point fingers, blame the weather, the economy, their parents, the government, but high performers, they say, I take full responsibility, not because they're guilty, but because they're in charge. And taking responsibility puts the power back in your hands. Here's the truth. Your phrases shape your frame, and your perspective, is what decides how you interpret every moment. You get to choose how you talk about your problems, how you describe your goals, how you respond to pressure. So why not train your mouth with phrases that produce progress? Let me give you a few more for your toolkit. Done is better than perfect. I'm a student. I'm always learning. I don't have to know it all. I just have to keep moving. Consistency beats intensity. If I stick with it, it will stick with me. Now you might be thinking, Jim, does it really matter what I say? And I'll tell you yes. Absolutely. Because every phrase you repeat becomes a groove in your mind. And enough grooves create a road. And that road leads somewhere. You repeat self-pity long enough, you end up on the road to regret. You repeat discipline long enough, you end up on the road to results. It all starts with language. So here's what I'd suggest. Build a phrase bank. Write down 10 power phrases that reflect who you want to be. Say them every day, out loud. Don't wait until you feel like it. Say them until you become it. You can rewire your identity with your words. You can build habits with your phrases. You can plant belief, courage, focus, one sentence at a time. And remember, success is not just built in what you do. It's built in what you say, what you repeat, and what you reinforce. So choose your phrases like your life depends on it, because in many ways, it does. Conversations with the future. Speak the life you want. Let me tell you something most people never realize. You're always in a conversation with your future. Every word you speak, every phrase you repeat, every story you tell yourself and others. It's a message you're sending forward in time. And the question is, what kind of future are you speaking into existence? You see, your mouth isn't just a mirror of your past. It's a megaphone to your future. Every complaint, every excuse, every declaration, they don't just echo in the present. They land ahead of you. And eventually, you walk right into them. That's why I always say, be careful what you say, because your future is listening. Most people speak out of history. They talk about what's happened, what went wrong, what they've been through. And that's fine for a moment. But if all your language is wrapped in yesterday, how can you expect tomorrow to look any different? Winners speak in advance. They don't wait for the breakthrough before they talk like it's coming. They speak in faith. They speak in preparation. They speak in the language of expectation. They say, I'm building something meaningful. I'm learning how to lead. I'm setting the foundation for financial freedom. I'm becoming someone worth following. Not because it's already true, but because that's the road they've chosen to walk. And language leads. Your words walk ahead of you like trail markers. They tell your brain where to go. They guide your habits. They shape your decisions. You say, I'm a disciplined person. Guess what? You start acting like one. You say, I always mess things up. Well, don't be surprised when you do. Because the future isn't just something that happens. It's something you speak into. Every day. Now, this doesn't mean you lie to yourself. This isn't about fantasy. It's about framing. You can say, I'm not where I want to be, but I'm on my way. You can say, I've got room to grow, but I've got the heart to do it. You can say, I'm preparing for the next level. And guess what? That kind of talk draws the next level toward you. Let me ask you, are you speaking survival, or are you speaking strategy? Are you talking about limitations, or are you declaring progress, even when it's slow? Because whatever you speak most, you'll see more of. Here's a truth I've seen proven over and over again. The words you practice today become the reality you live tomorrow. You say, I always have bad luck. Life will cooperate. You say something good is coming. Life will stretch to meet that too. Why? Because your focus follows your language, and your future follows your focus. Here's what I want you to do. Start treating your language like a letter to your future self. Speak in a way that your future self will thank you for. Speak in alignment with the vision, not the distraction. That means less of I hope things get better, and more of I'm making things better. Less of I don't know if I'll ever get there, and more of I'm moving forward, one step, one decision, one day at a time. You speak that way long enough, your habits start to shift. Your confidence starts to grow. Your future starts to look a little more like what you said it could be. Now remember, this works both ways. If you're always saying, I'm stuck, I'm tired, I'm just not cut out for it, then don't be surprised when the future you meet is smaller, colder, and harder than the one you hoped for. The future is shaped by the voice you use today. So train it, refine it, direct it. You're already in the conversation, so you might as well speak something worth walking into. And if you ever wonder where to start with one sentence. Speak one sentence today that your future can build on. Say, I'm planting seeds. I'm building character. I'm developing skills. I'm not waiting for someday. I'm speaking into it right now. Because the most successful people I know, they didn't just dream about their future. They spoke it into alignment, then walked into it with discipline. So speak boldly. Speak wisely. Speak intentionally. Because the life you speak is often the life you'll live. Master your mouth, and you'll master your life. We've spent this journey talking about words, but not just words as sounds, words as tools, words as weapons, words as seeds, and now we've come to the most important truth of all. If you can master your mouth, you can master your life. Why? Because words are how we frame the world. They're how we program our thinking, how we lead others, how we face pain, how we shape the atmosphere around us. You want to shift your mindset, shift your vocabulary. You want to grow your business, grow your communication. You want stronger relationships. Start speaking stronger words. Because here's the reality. Nothing reveals your character faster than your language, and nothing shapes your future faster than your speech. Your words are either building or breaking. They're either sowing belief or reinforcing fear. They're either leading you forward or locking you in place. And the good news? You're not a victim of your language. You are the author. You can decide right now to speak with more discipline, more clarity, more faith, more wisdom. And with that decision, you begin to rewrite the next chapter of your life. So let me ask you one more time. What story are you telling the world with your words? Are you narrating weakness, or are you declaring strength? Are you spreading doubt, or are you planting courage? Are you echoing your past, or are you announcing your future? Because the life you're living today is the echo of the words you spoke yesterday. And the life you'll live tomorrow, it's already listening. So here's your final challenge. Talk like someone who's going somewhere. Speak as if your words are designing your destiny. Because they are. Use words that align with vision. Speak sentences that stir action. Declare what's possible, not what's familiar. Speak progress, not pity. And when in doubt, choose silence over sabotage. Because the person who learns to master their mouth, to lead with language, to build with words, to speak with intention, that person becomes unstoppable. So if you want to change your world, don't wait, don't wish. Speak life. Speak discipline. Speak gratitude. Speak purpose. Speak belief. Speak truth. And then go live what you spoke. Because in the end, the mouth is the gateway. Master it and you master everything else.